want them to hear us, and we want the movement to build. And the movement doesn't build, and I don't think, with violence. I don't think that's going to be an effective tactic.
But it is implied violence when you show up at somebody's house. Of course it is. It's a threat.
We intentionally made no threats.
So what about when you see these people on your side of the issues, smashing store windows, dressed in masks, hurting other people? I don't understand. You're a lawyer, you're a reasonable guy, you've been in politics a long time. Why don't you stand up and say, you're discrediting me, what you're doing is immoral? But no one ever says that because you agree with their aims.
No, what we do is we understand people have different tactics and people have their choices.
Is that a legitimate tactic?
I do not, in my view, our goal is to build a mass movement.
Look at what's on the screen.
You don't build a mass movement with those kinds of tactics.
Is that a legitimate tactic to smash windows?
That's not an effective tactic.
Is it legitimate, morally legitimate?
That's up to the people who organize it.
So it's okay. There are times when using violence in America.
I've never used violence. We've never advocated violence.
I'm asking you a philosophical question, which you're capable of answering.
I can't answer every question on when violence is appropriate or not. If someone is under attack and defending themselves, is that violence?
There is no other side in this. These are people destroying property. They're not under attack. They showed up with weapons, and they're destroying things that don't belong to them in the name of a political aim. Is that ever legitimate in this country?
You know, to me, it's not effective, and that's what it comes down to.
No, because there's a moral question here. You're used to arguing on moral grounds. That's what you do.
The effectiveness. I actually prefer to argue on factual grounds, like with net neutrality, which I came here to discuss. But
But look, what you're doing when you show up at somebody's house is you're ending a discussion.
No, we're starting a discussion. We're forcing.
You're intimidating the crap out of somebody.
We're forcing him to listen to us. We're not intimidating. We're not out there with a bullhorn. We're not out there threatening. We're not doing anything to threaten anybody. It's not a harassment.
I hope you don't show up at my house. And you wouldn't be bothered if people showed up at your. If they watch this show and they said, you know what, you are a public figure. You're affecting my life through your advocacy on policy, and I'm showing up at your house in Baltimore. And I'm going to hang out there and yell at you until you change your views.
Let's see what happens.
What would happen? What would you do?
I would ignore them.
You would, really?
Yeah, I totally.
Trying to sleep, bullhorn, yelling at your wife? How would you feel about that?
I'd ignore them.
I wouldn't.
I don't know how many times Tucker can try to explain to this guy he's interviewing that the way he protests implies violence, even though this guy's sitting there saying, no, we don't do violence, we just protest. And Tucker's like, but you are implying violence when you go and, show up at someone's house and you're chanting all this negative stuff about them. And he's saying that, that he's going there to start a conversation. And Tucker's saying, that's the end of the conversation. Like, no one's going to want to talk to you. If you go and protest in front of their house, they just want you to leave. And it's true, like when Tucker says it implies violence, because I think about it, like if there was a protest that came to my house, I mean, in today's world, with all the violence out there and all the people with mental illness just going out to create harm on people, you don't know if that protest is going to get violent. So you have to take precautions, right? If someone's out there protesting like that, I'm not going to go out there and say, what are you protesting about? Let's have a conversation. It's just me and 50 of you? I mean, come on. That guy is not being realistic. And then when Tucker kept on showing him the video of all the violence that happened around 2020, and it was all based on a political reason, Tucker's breaking down windows and setting things on fire. How is that helping the cause? That's not helping the cause that you're supposedly protesting for. That's just going out and creating havoc, crime, ruining and destroying buildings and people's businesses. I mean, that's not trying to start any conversations. That's shutting down the conversation and destroying families and businesses, and that was crazy.